Hey everyone, welcome back to the third part of ICO Marketplace project, and this is what we have coded in the last video. We have built an entire context management with all the functionality in our constant file and in our index file. I found a couple of spelling mistakes. That's what I'm going to correct here, and we're going to work on the front end functionality. So in this video, we're going to simply complete the entire project. So come back here in the constants, and I have found a couple of spelling mistakes. So that's what we're going to fix. So this is fine. We don't need to do anything in here. This looks absolutely great. All the chain configuration we have done in the last video, and here we have to make the changes. So earlier I called this Binance and Binance, so I've changed this to base mainnet. Earlier it was BSC, and this one is also a BSC, but here we have done the configuration for the base mainnet, so I have changed the name. So that's the one change you have to do. Now you have to come back here. So this is the change you have to do. So earlier what I have done, that I am targeting the network, but we have to target this network object, and from there we have to pick the specific network which we want to connect. So for that we can do that very easily. We can simply type network. Once we have this network, in that we have to simply get the specific network which user wants to connect. So we have to simply pass the name. In our case we're going to pass Polygon MOI. So that's the one fix you have to do. You have to call it networks. Once you're done with that, now we have to do the changes in our short address. So we are getting the first 5 characters of the account, then we have to get the last 4 characters. So earlier we called the direct method, so we don't need to call in that way. We have to call the slice, and on that we have to get the length, and then we have to subtract it 4, so we'll get the last 4 characters. So make sure to fix this one. Now this looks fine. We don't need to do any changes here in our ICO Marketplace contract. So simply close this one, and here we have to do the changes. So I return it twice, so make sure to simply remove one return, and that's the only thing we have to do. This looks absolutely great. So we are getting the address, we are building our provider and signer, and that's what we are passing in our fetch contract. So these are the changes we have to do. I hope you guys have done it. Now we have to come back to index, and there we have to do a little bit changes. So we are importing these packages, then we are importing all the functions and the API keys which we have built in our constant. That's what we are importing. Here we have the context, here we have the state variable, here we have the component, here we have the notification, and we have to do the changes in our check if wallet connected function. So here we have to do the fix. So earlier we have simply copied this line of code from our constants. Like from here we have copied the entire code, and that's what we have pasted here. But this connection is not available, so we have to call this particular method window.ethereum. So I'm going to simply remove this one and bring this back. So now we'll have the connection with our Ethereum object, and that's the only change you have to do. This looks fine, this looks fine, and here we have this also looks great. So this is the one change you have to do. Once you're done with that, now you can come back to the connect wallet. Again we have to do the same thing. So I'm going to simply remove this one old code, and I'm going to simply bring this back, so we can have the window Ethereum object, and we can easily able to connect. So that's the change we have to do in the connect wallet, and we have to do in the check if wallet is connected. Once we're done with that, now we can come back here in the deploy. This looks fine. We don't need to do anything in here. We are getting all of these details, then we are simply storing this detail in the local storage, and that's what exactly we are doing here. This looks fine. I hope you guys have followed the last video, and that everything is explained, that how we have coded, what logic we have implemented in our deploy contract function. So this is the internal function, and this is the external function in which we are deconstructing the data, then we are checking for the states, and then we are getting our Web3 providers and getting the providers, and then passing the details to our internal function. So this is our create token function. Now we can come back to get all ICO cell, and here we have to do a little bit changes. So this looks fine. We don't need to do anything in here. Now we can simply come back here. This looks good. This looks good. Now we can come here, and here we have to do the changes. So I made a spelling mistake called PRIVE, but it's price. I hope you guys have noticed that. So make sure to change this to price, and the rest should be fine. We don't need to do anything, and at the end we are returning the array. We're done with that. Now I'm going to simply close this one. We have to do the same fix right up here. So make sure to provide the right spelling name. I made a spelling mistake here. So that looks good. Now we can come back to the create ICO. We don't need to do anything in here. Everything looks fine. So this looks good, and we don't need to make any changes. So looks good here. Now we can simply close that one. Now we can come back to the buy function, and here we have to do the changes. So first we are starting our loader, then we are displaying this notification, and here we have to check for a condition, because if the user don't provide this address and the quantity, we have to stop the transaction. We don't want to continue, otherwise the user will pay unnecessary gas amount. So we will say data missing. I forgot this to add in the last video, but this is what I have added, and make sure you have to add this. Then here we have this address connect wallet, and here we have to call this ICO Marketplace. So the user can buy the token from our contract, and this looks good. You don't need to do anything in here. Everything is good. Here we are making the connection with the price, converting that amount, and that's what we are passing in our contract. And then we are checking for the state, whether it's success, failure, and we're displaying all the details. So this looks good. Now we can simply close this one. Now we can come back to the transfer function, and here I have done a little bit changes. So this is fine. You don't need to do anything in here. Here we are checking the states and getting the address, and here we have to get the token contract, not the ICO contract, and that's obvious. We have to pass the address of the token, and then we can able to transfer the token to any address. So instead of calling this ICO contract, we have to call this token contract. So this is the fix we have to do. We have to get the token contract, and that we have to pass the address of the token, which we are getting right up here in the details, and that's the data we have here. Okay, so far things are good, and the rest will be fine. You don't need to do anything in here. This looks good. We are checking for the condition, making the transaction, and then we are simply initializing all of this. So make sure to do this change. Instead of getting the ICO contract, we have to get the token contract. That's why I have given this change. Now I'm going to simply close this one. Now this is the withdraw function. We don't need to do anything in here. Everything is fine here. Like we're getting all of these details, we are completing the transaction, and then we are changing the states, and if anything goes wrong, that's what we are reflecting here. Now it's time to simply export all of the components and the function. So let's do that one by one, and we have to do it right up here. So first thing, we're going to simply export the withdraw function, withdraw token. Then we have to export the transfer token. Then we have to do buy token. These are the three functions. Then what we have, ICO cell. Let's export that. Then we have the get all user ICO. That's what we have to export. Then we have to come back here, and we have to get the all one. So we'll come paste here. So this is the one we have exported. Now we have to get this as well, because we'll allow user to create the token. So this is the function which we have built. That's what we are exporting, and we're going to attach in our front end. So it looks good. Now we have to also export the component and the feature. So we're going to take this one, connect wallet, and paste here. That's what we have here. Now I can simply come back, and we're going to simply export this notification. We can do that, but we're going to simply take this one, open component, paste here. Now we have to get the both one, simply copy, and that's what we have to paste. So let's do it quickly. I'm going to simply copy both the one together, and that's what we have to paste here. Let's do the same thing with the transfer token, copy and paste here. We done with the transfer token. Then we have to call this open token creator, copy, and that's what we can simply export. And here we have the last one is the open created ICO. So we got all the 5 states for the token. Looks good. And we have to also get this data. So we have to get the addresses. That's what we have to simply call it here. And we have to get the account balance. So account balance is going to be here. We have to get only account balance, not the set account balance. So this what we got it. Now we have to get the loader and set loader as well. So we can simply display the loader. And what else we have to get? We have to get the currency as well. So we can simply reflect the currency in our front end. So these are the component we are exporting. Everything's from here. We can also export this notification. We can do that, but let it be like it for this context management. So I hope you guys have understood that what exactly we have done. We have simply exported all of these details, and we have to also export our Pinata API key and secret key, which we need to create. So I'll come back here, and I'm going to simply come and paste here. So we got this Pinata API key and secret key, and we have to also get our ICO address. I'll get that one, and that's what I'm going to simply provide here. Paste. So we have so many things we are exporting from right up here, which we're going to utilize in our front end. So let me have a look one more time. So this is fine. This is fine. We are checking for a condition. So like I can simply come back here, and everything is good. All I can do is I can simply call this particular function, this one, and I can simply come here, and I'm going to simply call the function. So I'll paste it, and it will be await. So when the function will run, it will check for the network. If the user is connected with our desired network, which is the Polygon test network, then it's fine. Otherwise, it's going to change the network in the MetaMask. This looks good. So that's the thing we have to do. I have to do the same thing in our connect wallet function as well. So I'm going to simply come here and I'm going to simply paste right up here. Once we're done with that, now what we can do is, let's try to call this function. Let's call this function at the time of page reload. So when the page will reload, it's going to trigger this function and it's going to check whether the address is available in our MetaMask or not, the wallet is connected or not. So we'll take this use effect and we have to run this whenever there is a change in the address, and we have to simply call the function. Very simple. So this will run whenever there is a change in the address. So far things are good, pretty simple. We don't need to do much, and that's the only thing we have to do here, because all the logic we have built, if we find that we have some problem, we definitely come back and we're going to fix that. Looks good. And we have to export one more thing, which is the sort address. Simply copy that one, and that's what we can simply export. So we can receive in our front end and we can display everything. So far things are look good. Let me have a quick look. Everything is good. If we find we are missing something, we can definitely come back and export from here. So now we can start working on our index page. So this is what we have. Everything's look good. Now we can come back to the app.js, and here we have to do our context setup. Just now we have built. So first thing, we have to import couple of things. So we can come back here and we have to import the header tag, and that's coming from next head. Once we get the header tag, now we have to import our toaster because we have to display the notification, and we are taking a global approach. You can do an individual page approach, but we are doing with the global approach. So we'll say toast, and in that we can take this toaster. We have multiple methods, but I'm going with this toaster, and it's coming for React hot toast. So this is the import we have done. Now we have to import the context management. So I'll come here, let's call this internal import, and here we have to import our context management, which is coming for context. So let's call this /context/index, and we have already built the context, and that's what we're going to import. So come back here, go to the index, and there you will find all the feature and functionality we have built. So we have exported that, and this is what we need. So simply take this context provider, and that's what we have to import. Here we got the context provider, and now we have to wrap our application in the context. So we'll take the context provider, and we have to simply wrap the entire component. And here we have to simply call our toaster. So whenever any error, any notification we want to display, it will automatically pass to the component and it will reflect on the front end. So that's the only setup we have to do here in the app.js. That's the only setup. Now we can start working on our index page. So click on the index page, close this one. We can come back to the index page, and everything looks good. No issue we have. Now we can simply open up our terminal and check that our application is running smooth. So I can simply come back and let's close all of this open folder and simply type npm run dev to check whatever setup we have done, it's working. Hit enter. Here our application got started on localhost 3000. Simply copy this one and you can come back and click on the localhost 3000. And here our application is running absolutely fine. So all the setups, all the functionality we have built, everything is working fine. So the setup we have done. Now we can come back here, close this one, and now we can start coding our index page. So first thing, we have to import a lot of things. So let's import from React. So we need this use state, use effect, these two things we need. Then we need the toaster for displaying the notification message, and that's coming from React hot toast. Then we have to do the internal import. In that we have to import all the component including the context. So let's call this internal import. First we have to import the context, and it's coming from the context/index, and we already built it. So we can call this use state context, and that's what we have called. So if you come back here, if you go to the context, if you go to the index, and there you will find that this is what we have called. So we have simply come all the way down, and this is what we have called use state context, and that's what we have to simply provide here. So in that we'll have all the details, all the functionality, all the variable we have built. Now we have to import all the components. So if I come back here, you can see this is the component we have. In that we have button, type, buy token, card. So these are the components we have to import it, and it's going to be a single page application. So all the component will come in the index page. Come back, close here. Let's import the component. So I'll say import First we have to import header, and that's coming from component header, and I'm going to simply replicate it. So replicate all of this and change this component name. Input, this will be button, this will be table, this will be pre-sell list, this will be our upload logo, this will be our loader, then we'll have our footer. Let's replicate that and let's call this ICO market. This will be a token creator, token history, replicate that, marketplace, replicate it, create ICO, change this to card, this will be buy token, this will be withdraw token, and this will be token transfer. And we got all of these components. Now we have to simply copy the name and we have to paste here. So let's do that very quickly. Card, ICO, market, history, creator, market, we have footer, loader, upload, we have pre-sale, table, button, and import. So we have imported all the component and everything's look good. So that's the first thing we have to do. Now we have to import all the function we have built, all the variables we have built in our context management, and that's very easy. We can come here, we can take this, and we're going to use our use state. So we'll take this use state context, and we can simply, we are getting from here, and now we can simply come back here, go to our, let's call this context index page, and there we have it. So simply copy all of this, and that's what we have to paste here. Looks good. Once we're done with that, we can come here and you can see this is all the function we have built. So far things are looking good. We have to copy this one, and that's also we have to import here, so we can display the notification. Now we can come back here, let's call this use state, and we have to take couple of state variables. So let's take that all ICO. In that we're going to keep all the ICO which user will click as a form of array. Then we have to get the user one, all user ICO, it's also going to be an array. Now we can come back here and we have to take the component state management. So we have to take couple of state variables. So we'll take this one, open all ICO. So this is going to open the pop-up component for all the ICO, and by default it will be false. We have to take another one. This will be for the token history. By default it will be false, and we're going to have one more. This is going to be for our open ICO marketplace. In that we have to display all the token listed in the marketplace. These are the three states. Now we can come back here, and here we have to simply take the buy token. So we'll take this use and we'll call it buy ICO, and it's going to be an empty. And now we have to build a small function which allow us to copy the ICO contract address. So let's take this copy address, and it's going to be a very simple function. So in that we have to simply call navigator clipboard write text, and in that we can simply pass our ICO marketplace address, and we have to display the notification message that copy successfully. Simple function. Done. Now we can come back here. So before we write the other functionality, let's try to work on the component. So first complete one component, after that we're going to simply call the function. So let's come here and let's take the header. So we already built all of the component, so let's call that component. So first is going to be the header. Let's call this footer and the loader. So this is the global component which we're going to use. So let's build this first, and these three components are very small. So first thing, we can start with the footer. This is how our application look at the moment. So header, footer, loader looks good. Now we can simply do one thing. We can come back to the application and we can simply make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So first we're going to start with the footer. So close this one, come back here, go to the context. Here we have the footer, and now we can simply take the footer tag. There it is, and it's going to have a div. It will have a class called container. There it is. And if you come back here in the global CSS, there you will find that we have already written all the CSS. All we have to do is to simply apply the classes. So this is all the huge CSS and reset we have done. We have to simply apply the classes. So we have taken the div. Inside the div, we have to take another div. It will have a class called footer menu. inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called copyright. In that we have to display the copyright logo and the text. So we'll take this HTML tag for copyright and we can display the text 2024 ICO Marketplace all right reserve. You can display whatever you want. Now we can come out of the div and we're going to take this UL, the footer menu, but this is we are hiding in the mobile device. We are displaying only on the desktop. So let's take this UL. It will have a li. In that we can take the anchor, and by default I'm going to redirect the home page. So I'll say home. Now simply replicate it 3 times. So let's make a big, and let's make it on the 6 side. So you can see it's reflecting. Now we can come back here, simply copy, paste, and we can change this to creator. This will be ICO, and it will only reflect on the desktop, not in the mobile device. And that's the only thing we have to do. This is very small piece of code we have written for our footer. We are done with that. Now we can simply close this one, come back here, and now we can simply go to the loader. And it's also a 2-line code we have to write for the loader. So we can come here and we have to simply apply this CSS. So let's bring it back and let's take a class. It will be called loader wrapper. You can see it's in the middle and we are getting this DAC, a little lightish dark background. Inside that we have to take a div and it's going to have a class called loader, and here we have our loader. That's the only thing we have to do, because every single thing is controlled by the CSS which we have already designed. So we are done with the loader. Now we can come back here and now we can start working on our footer section. So we can come back to the index page and there you can see. So I'm going to simply comment this one and here we are. We can also start working on the header straight away, but we have to simply call all of the component we have built. So let's do one thing. Let's send all the props which we're going to take it in the header component. Then we're going to simply start building on it. So let's take the prop. So first is going to be the account balance. Then second is going to be the set address. Then we have to pass the address. Then we're going to take the correct wallet function. Then we have to pass the ICO marketplace address. Then we have to take the short address function. Then we have to take the set open all ICO, because we're going to have menu on the navigation bar, and from there user can open different component. Then we can take this open all ICO, the state. Then we have to take this set open token creator to set open token creator. Then we'll take this open token creator, open token creator. Then we have to set this set open token history to set open token history, and we have to say open token history to open token history. So all the state we have to send. Then we have to send, let's say, set open ICO marketplace to set open ICO marketplace with the state. We'll say open ICO marketplace equal to open ICO marketplace. So this is the state we are sending in our header component. So simply select and copy. Now we can come back to our header component. So come back and close this one. Now we can go back to the header, click here, and now we have to simply import it. So give this bracket and we have to simply paste. Let's quickly remove this one. Remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this. We have to remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, and these are the things we have imported. So everything looks good. Before we start working on our header component, let's build all the structure in our index page for other components. So this looks good. Now what I can do is I can simply come back to the index page, and here we have to lay down the entire architecture of the components. So we can come back here. Let's take this open all ICO. If it's true, then we have to open the pop-up model. So we'll take this all ICO market. In that we have to send the props. So later we deal with the data. Let's build the architecture first. This is the first thing. Now we're going to come back here. We have to say open token creator. If it's true, then we have to open the token creator component. Then we'll say open history, token history. If it's true, then we have to open it. Then we can come say open creator ICO. If it's true, then we have to call the created ICO. Then we can come here and we'll take this open ICO marketplace. If it's true, then we have to call this ICO market. Then we can say open buy token. If it's true, then we have to open the buy token component. Then we can come here and we'll say open transfer token is true, then we have to open this token transfer, and we'll have this open withdraw token true, then we have to open the withdraw token component. And at the end we're going to have the loader. So we'll say if loader is true, then we have to call the loader component. Everything is looking good. So if I turn this to true, you will see the loader will reflect. So that's how we're going to manage the loader state. So simply remove this one and looks good. So we have built the entire structure. All we have to do is to simply pass the data and build the logic in our each of the component. So we're going to start with the header first because that's what we have imported. So let's come back header, and here we have to control the menu, pop-up model and button for connecting and displaying the user balance and the address. So come here. First thing we have to simply import few things from React. So we can come here, import use state and use effect. Then we have to simply do the internal import. So in that we're going to import the button component which we're going to build. It's coming from the same directory. Now we can come back here, and here we have to build a logic. So we have to trigger and check the event whenever the user changes their wallet address in the MetaMask. So whenever the user changes his accounts, we have to trigger the event and we have to update the data in the entire application. So let's take that state variable, say is MetaMask install. By default it will be false, and here we have to build that logic. So we'll say use effect will whenever use effect. Now we can come here, we'll say if type of windows.ethereum not equal to undefined. In that scenario we have to simply set it to true. Now we can come here, we'll say window.ethereum on, and we are looking for a change event. There are multiple events we have, but we are looking for a change event. So we'll say account change, make sure to capital C, and here we have to call the function we're going to build to update the address in our application. So we're going to build this custom function. We'll say handle account changed. This is the function we're going to build. For the moment, just let it be there. Let's write it. So that's the first thing. Once we're done with that, now we can come here and we have to return the remove event. So we can take this one. This is simple JavaScript. Again, we have to look for the event type of window.ethereum. If it's not equal to undefined, it's the same. And here we have to simply call this window.ethereum, and we have to remove list null, and we're going to simply call this account changed, and we can take the function. So first we have to look for when the account is changed, but once we successfully get the address, we have to stop and remove this on change event. And here we have to simply call this function every time whenever there is a change in the address. So we'll call this address. And now this function we have to build. Come here, we'll take this const, paste the address, and it's going to be a normal function. So in that we have to take this accounts. It will have an array of accounts. All we have to do is to simply call this set address, and we have to update and take the very first account, because the account will come in the form of array. So let's take the very first account. You can see the error is gone. So whenever the user will change their wallet address, it's going to trigger and is going to update in our state management. So that's the entire logic. Hope you guys have understood that what exactly we have done. It's a simple function we have, and this is going to trigger every time there is a change in the address. Now we can start working on the JSX straight away. So simply remove this to header, remove this one, and it will have a class called header. Remove this. Inside that we'll take a nav. It's going to have a div. It will have a class called logo. In that we have to display our logo. So we'll have this anchor, and we have to give the slash to redirect the user on the home page, and in that we can simply display the text. So we'll say ICO, and I'm going to take a span, and I will call market. So we'll have this color. Beautiful. Now we can come here, we can simply write the menu. So we'll take this input and call this check box. Okay, let's remove this one and call this check box and here we have to give the ID menu toggle. So when the user will click on the menu, we have to display the menu in the mobile device. So we'll call it toggle. Now we can simply come here, and here we're going to take the label. It will be menu toggle, and it will have a class. Let's call menu icon. In that we can simply display the HTML icon tag. So we can take this 976, and there we have the hamburger menu. Now we can come here, and here we have to build the menu. So we'll take this UL. It will have a class called menu. Inside that we'll take a li. It will have an anchor and home. That's the first thing. Now we have to simply take the another one, and this is going to have a dynamic one. So it will not have this href. It will have an on click function, and we'll say that if ICO market component is open, then we have to simply close it. Means if it's true, then make it false, but if it's false, then make it true. That's the simple logic we are building. So in that way the user can open and close the component. So by default false, and if it's false, then make it true. So this is the simple logic we have built. If I open this one, you can see the menu is reflecting fine, and here we can simply say ICO Marketplace. So this is the second menu. I'm going to simply copy and paste, and we have to do the same thing with the other component. So we have to change this to, let's call this one, let's remove this and call open all ICO, and we have to change this set one to set open all ICO. That's the second one. Simply copy and paste, and this is the third one. Here we have to do the changes. So I can come back here, and I have to change the name, menu name. So this one is going to be called, let's call created ICO. The one you will create, that's going to reflect in this particular component. And now we can come back here, and here we have to do the changes to history. This is going to open the history of the token component. Change this to open token history, and change this state. This looks good. We're done with that. Now we can simply copy and paste here, and we have to create token. So this is going to open the create token component, in which user can use it to create the token. So we have to change this to open token creator and set open token creator. Copy and simply paste here the dynamic logic, because we have to display the button, and we're going to have two buttons, one for connecting wallet, and if user is connected, we have to display the address and the balance. So we'll say if address exists, then we have to display this, otherwise this. So instead of this, I'm going to display the button. So remove this one and take the button component, and in that we're going to send a couple of procs, because this button is going to be the reusable component. So we have to send two things, name. So I'll call this one to, because when the user will connect it, it will have the address and the balance. So we can take this template literal, and we can call this short address, and in that we can pass the address. So it will reflect the address, and we can also display the balance. So we'll take this account balance, and we have to call the slice method, because the balance is quite huge, and I want to display only 5 characters. So call this slice 05. That's what we have. Simply copy and paste here. Now we have to write the second button for the component. So let's call button. Let's send the prop. It's going to be connect wallet. So if user is not connected, this is the button going to reflect, and that we have to pass the handle click function, so the user can click and they can connect. So let's call this handle click, and then we can simply pass the connect wallet function, and that's the only thing we have to do. If we click here, you can see this button is reflecting here, and that's the one we have to design next. So come back here, we can go back to the button, and it's going to be a very simple component. So here we are, we can simply receive the props. So what we can do is, let's receive the prop. We have to receive the name, and we have to receive the handle click. These are the two things we are passing, and we're going to take the dynamic class as well, because some button can have a different class, different styling. So that classes we can pass as a style extra style class, which we're going to attach in the button component. So we can come here, we can change this to button. It will have all the feature. Let's assign the classes. So we'll have the dynamic class, template dynamic class, and we're going to have a regular class, which is the new button. There it is. We can change this. It will have a on click function. In that we have to simply call the function handle click, and we can change the name of the button to name. It looks good. Everything looks good. Now our button is designed successfully. Let's make on the big screen, and that's how it's going to look. You can see we have a beautiful navigation bar. If we reload the page, if we try to click on the button, it's going to open the MetaMask because we are not connected. If I pass the address, if I reload the page, you can see it's already there. I have to pass the address and I'm connected. And this account I'm connected at the moment, but the moment I will change my account, you will see the data will also reflect. So let's go back to account number 1 and everything is updated in our contract. The balance and the address, everything is getting updated instantly. So the event function we have written, it's working fine. So let's reload the page. That's how it looks. Now we can simply click on this. It's going to open the MetaMask and we have to simply pass our password to connect. So we are connected successfully. Now if we click on this, ICO Marketplace is going to open the component. You can see our open component is also working fine. You can open, you can close. If you click on this create, it's working. History, create token. So every single thing is working fine. We can open multiple components based on the click event, and that's all reflecting here. So we're done with this. Now we can come back to the code. So our header component is almost done. If we find that we have to make any changes, we can definitely come back here. But we have built all the logic. So close this one. Now we can come back here in our component. So every single thing is working fine in our header component. We have sent the prop and built all the logic. Now let's start working on the component. So let's start working first on our token component. So let's start sending the prop. So we're going to send the props for the function create ERC20 token. Let's paste the function, and we have to send one more thing. We have to send the short address, and these are the two data we need, and we have to send the other props. So let's call this set open token creator, so the user can simply close it up. Then we have to set the loader, then we have to set the address, then we have to set the current wallet, because if the user is not connected, we have to display the button, and we have to send the Pinata API key and Pinata secret key. That looks good. Now we can simply copy this one all and come back to the component, and where it is, here we have, let's try to find out. So this is what we have, token creator. Click here, and now we can simply import the functions, and let's remove this very quickly. So here we got it, all the props we have received. Remove this one, and now we can start building the logic, and it's going to be a quite bigger component because we have to upload the logo of the token as well. So we have to write a lot of code. So we can come back here, and so far things are good. First we have to receive a couple of things. So we have to receive the use state, and then we have to import a couple of things, the internal component. So first we have to import the upload logo, in which we're going to upload the logo, and it's coming from the component directory. Then we have to import the input field. It's coming from the same place, component directory, and we need the button as well, component / button. So we got all of this internal component. Now we can simply come back here. Let's come here. We have to take a state variable for the image and for the token, because we need the information about the supply, symbol, name. So let's take those state variable. So first is going to be the image URI, and if I come back to the context, you can see these are the data we are receiving in our create function. So if I come back here, this is the create function we have. In that we are receiving these three data: token, account, and URL. In the token we have the name, symbol, and supply. So that's what we have to get. So let's change this. Then we have to take this token, and it's going to be an object. First is going to be the name, then we'll have the symbol, and we'll have the supply. So these are the state variables we have taken. Looks good. Now what we can do is, we can see things are look good to me. Now we can simply, let's make on side by side, and let's work on the component. So let's bring it on the right hand side, and let's start working on the JSX, because the deployment of the token we're going to do in the upload component. So let's come here, let's take a ID. It will be called my model. It will have a class. Let's call this one model. If I come back here, and if I click on this, you can see we are getting this light dark. Now we're going to simply remove this one. We'll take a div. It will have a class called model content. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have an on-click function. So we can simply click on that cross and it will close the component. So let's call this on-click. And we have to simply call this set open token creator to false. And we'll give the class called close, and we'll have our HTML cross item. So there it is. You can see that cross is reflecting. Now we can come back here. We'll take a h2 and we'll display the title. We'll have a style. We'll take this margin. Bottom is going to be 1 RAM. So we'll have some space from the bottom, and we can display our text. We'll say create token. Now we can come back here. We'll take a upload logo component, and in that we have to send the prop. So we have to send the image URL and set image URL. Then we have to send the set loader. So these are the things we have to set, and we have to send the PIN API key and the secret key. So we can receive and we can upload the data to the IPFS. These are the things we are passing in the upload logo. Then we can come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class, and it will have call input container, and altogether we're going to have 3 input fields, and we already have the input component. So we'll take this input component, and then we have to simply send the props. So let's take that placeholder, and it will call, let's say, name, and it will have the function. So we'll say handle change. In that we can say E. So we'll take this set token. So first we have to deconstruct the token object. Then we have to take the variable which we want to update. So we want to update the name e.tiger.value. So this is the first input field we have, which will update the information about the token name. All I have to do is to simply replicate this, copy, paste, and this will be our symbol. Change this to a symbol, simply copy, paste, and this will be our supply, and change this to supply. So we got this 3 input field. Now we have to work on the button. So we can simply come back here, and we'll say div. It will have a class called button. Box, it will have a custom styling to margin. Top is going to be 1 RAM, and inside that we're going to take our dynamic button. So we'll take this if address is there, then we have to display the normal button which user can click and they can create the token. So we'll take this button, and then we have to send the props. So I have to send the name. It will say create token. Else I have to simply copy and paste here, and here I have to display the current wallet function. So I'll take this, remove this current wallet, and it will have a function called handle click, and then handle click, and that will have the function called connect wallet. So it will connect if the user is not connected. Very simple, and that's the only thing we have to do here in the our token creator component. So everything is looking good. Now we have to design our upload logo and input field. Simply copy this prop, and that's what we can simply receive in our upload logo component. So come receive that, remove this very quickly. So we have received all the props successfully. Now we have to write a lot of code here for uploading. So first thing, we're going to receive couple of things from our React. So let's bring it here, and let's build the functionality. When we write the JSX, then we're going to make side by side. So first we have to receive the use effect, use state, use callback, and we're gonna come here. We'll import the XCS because we have to make an API request. Then we have to import the toaster because we have to display the error message. Then we have to import our React drop zone, and that we're going to receive use drop zone. So these are the imports we are doing of the packages. Now we have to do the couple of internal import. Then we can call this one upload icon, and that's coming from our SVG file. So if you come back here, and if you go to the component, we have this SVG, click here. Inside that you will have this icon. So let's click it, and this is the icon I have already given. So you can simply, that's the icon we are importing. Close this one and come back here. So we are done with the internal import. Now we have this, and things are looking good, and we can get this notification as well. So we'll copy that one, and that's what we can receive here. Now we can start working on the functionality. So let's come back here. Let's build the function called upload to IPFS, because this will allow us to upload our logo to the IPFS. It's going to be an async in that we receive the file. So we'll say if file is there, then we have to only call it. Inside that, we'll take this try and catch. So if anything goes wrong, we have to simply log that out in our console. And let's build the logic. So first thing, we have to initialize the loader. Then we have to initialize the form, because the data we're going to upload as a type of form data. So we'll say form data. We'll call this new form data, and we'll use the method called append. So we'll take this form metadata dot append, and we have to upload the file. So we'll give this key file, and we'll provide the actual file data. Once we have the form data, now this data we have to simply pass in our API request. So let's take a variable called response. We'll take this await XCS, and in that we have to build the entire method. So first, the method is going to be the post request, post, and this URL is very important. Make sure to know, don't make any mistakes. So we'll have the URL https:/api.pinnata.cloud/pinning. That's the method we are using, pinning, and we have a method called pin file to IPFS. That's the URL for making an API request. Then we have to simply pass the data. So this is very important. Make sure to double check the spelling. We'll pass the data, form data. Then we have to pass the size, that how big file we want to size. So I'll go with the max body size, body length is going to be infinity. Okay, I'll go with infinity because I want to upload larger file as well. And then I have to set the header. So in that we have to set the API key and secret key. So we'll call it pinnata-API key. Then we'll say pinnata secret key, pinnata secret key. Then we have to take the content type. So we'll say content type, and it will be our multi-part form data. This is the method we are using for uploading the file, but if we are uploading JSON data, we use different method. And that's the only thing we have to pass in the response. And once we're done with that, now we can come back here. It's going to give us the response once we'll make a successful API call. So we can come here, we'll take this URL, and we have to construct the URL because the data will have the hash of the image we have uploaded to the IPFS, and we have to access the hash from the data, from the response, and that's what we have to pass in the URL. So this is the URL which I have got from the Pinnata documentation. That's what I'm constructing. So this is what we have, HTTP, and we'll have the gateway Pinnata cloud, and then we're going to have the IPFS, and here we have to provide the hash which we'll get when we simply upload our data. So we can access that. We have the response. Inside the response we have the data, and from there we can have access the IPFS hash. So this is the URL of our image. Once we have that, we can simply update in our state. So we'll take this set image URL to URL, and we'll take this set loader to false because it's uploaded successfully, and we can display the notification that image is uploaded successfully or logo uploaded successfully. Logo uploaded successfully. If anything goes wrong, we have to simply display that. So first we're going to stop the loader, then we have to simply display the error message like check your Pinnata key, because when there is a failed in the array, it can only happen if you don't provide the valid API key. So that's our upload function. I hope you guys have understood that what exactly we have done. So make sure to check every single spelling we have defined here. If you make any spelling mistake, it's not going to work and it's going to create a problem. Now we can come back here and we're going to use drop zone. So we can simply come here, cons on drop, and it will be use callback, and that we have to accept the file. So we'll take this async file accept, and it's going to have the entire data about the file which user will upload. So we'll take this await file upload to IPFS, we'll take the accept file, and we have to get the first one which is going to be our file. That's our drop function. Now we can come here, we're going to use our drop zone feature. So we'll take this and we'll say use drop zone, and here we have to define the size and the file type. So I'm going to say on drop. This is the function I want to call whenever the user will drop the file, and I have to define the max file size. So I'll say max size is going to be like 5, and it's going to have 11.0. Let's receive couple of props from our drop zone package. So we need two things. There are multiple methods, but I'm going to take one. So first is going to be the input prop, get input prop, and the second one is going to be the root prop, get root prop. We have multiple methods like reject, accept, pending, but we are dealing with this only two. So once we're done with that, now we can come back here. Now we can come back here and start working on our JSX. So simply remove this one. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. First, we're going to take this dynamic block, because if the image is available, if the image is deployed successfully, we have to display the image. If the image is not deployed, we have to display the upload image component. So we'll take this image URL. If it's there, then we have to display the image. So we'll take the image tag, and there we have to provide the source. So we'll have this image URL, we'll have a custom styling. So we'll take the width is going to be 200 pixels and height is going to be something like auto. That's the image. Let's wrap this in a div. So we'll take a div and let's wrap this one. Let's write the else block, and here we have to display our entire component, pop-up component. We'll take a div, there it is, and we have to attach the root prop we have created. So we'll take this 3 dot and we'll call this get root prop. So this is the one which we have to attach, this one. Now we can come back here and we'll take a label. We'll change this to file. It will have a class. Let's call this custom file upload. There it is. You can see the stylings are taking place. Inside that, we're going to take this div. It will have a class called icon, and we can display our icon which we have in the SVG. There it is. Now we can come back here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called text. Inside that, we'll take a span and we're going to take this click to upload logo. Once we have this text, down below we can simply display our input tag so the user can click and they can upload. So the file type is going to be a file. It will have an ID, is going to be a file, and we have to attach our input prop. So let's call this get input prop. If we click, it's going to open the file, and you can see everything is working fine. On the click event, we are opening the file, and that's the only thing we have to do. Every single thing is working absolutely fine. So we have done with that. This is what we have opened. This is the entire function we have written for uploading. Now we can simply close this one and we can come back to token creator, and now we can start working on our input. So we can come here. This is the one which we have to work. So click here, come back to the input, and we have to receive the prop. So things good. Now come back here, copy the prop, and we have to copy the handle child function. Once we're done with that, now we can simply start working on it. So we'll take a, remove this one, we'll take an input. It will have a text, placeholder is going to be the placeholder, and on chain event we have to call the handle change function, and it will have a class called, let's say, input style, and there it is, the stylings are applied. So we got our input field, and that's the only thing we have to do here in the input field. Everything is good. So now we can start using this particular function to deploy the logo. So this is how it's going to look on a bigger screen. It looks absolutely wonderful. You can simply reload the page, you can open, and you can close it. Let's do the inspect element. That's how it's going to look on a mobile device. Let's bring it side by side so we can see we are uploading the data to the IPFS, and here you can see I have already created a couple of tokens previously, and that's all stored in the local storage. So I'm going to simply clear it up, because all the token we're going to create, that's going to be stored in the local storage, and from there we're going to fetch it to display in the component. So let's remove all of this. So right now there is no data in the local storage. Simply reload the page, click here, and now we can simply upload. So click here, we have to come back in the documentation. I'm going to pick my logo, so this one. Okay, nothing happened, so something went wrong. So let's do the inspect element, come back to the console. So the problem we are having, the function is not even getting triggered. So the function is not getting triggered. So if I click, and if I click on this, upload the image, so the function is not getting triggered. So I found the bug. We have to do a couple of changes. So first change we have to do here on the on drop. So make sure to change this to D. This is a general convention I have found in the doc. It's not create any problem, but let's change this to D. Then we have to do the changes in the input prop and the root prop, because even we are not calling the function straight away. Okay, so we have to call it. We have just given the name, but we are not calling the function. So let's change this HTML to for, and we have to call the function. So let's call this. Same thing with the input prop, because if you don't call the function, then what do you expect? So this is the fix we have to do, and we have to come back here and let's try to give a try. So come here, upload the image, and here it's uploading, and we are getting something. Okay, so this time the transaction failed because I can see it says 404. So the URL we have defined for making API requests, there is some problem in that. So let's see, it's a problem and we have to fix it. So let's come back here, and I know I can see the problem. So I can come back here, and this looks good. You don't need to do anything in here. This is fine. This is also great. The problem we have is here. So you can see here is the problem. Pin file to IPFS. Okay, it was T. I made it T earlier, but I have changed it to I. So this is the fix you have to do. So this is good. This is fine. This is the problem we had. So we had the wrong. Instead of I type it T. So make sure to fix that. So this URL you have to fix. Pause it and correct your URL. So form data, this looks good. That's the only change we have to do. The rest will be fine. This is the state. This is the on drop. And here we have that one. Now it will upload successfully the images. So close this one, and now we can come back to the token created, and let's attach the create function so we can test it all together. So come back to the token create, and here we have this input look goods, and here we have the function for the button. So let's attach the create token function. So let's add the function called copy and paste here, and all we have to do is to simply replace this function with our create ERC20 token, ERC20, and we have to simply pass the data like token, address, and the last one is going to be the image URL. So once the user will click, they can create the token. So we are done with that. Now we can simply test. Everything is fine. We don't need to do any changes. So this looks good. Managing the state, all the input fields are good. Now we can come back to the browser, reload the page, and simply click on this create token and open. It's working. Now we can simply upload our image. Finger cross. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Click on the, and now we have to select the image, open, and it's going to make a call to the API and it's going to upload. So here our image uploaded successfully. Let's give the name. Let's call it the blockchain coder, and we're going to have the symbol called TBC, and we have to give the supply. It's going to be 20,000. Click on this create, and it's going to open the MetaMask, and you can see that I don't have fund in this particular account. Actually, I have fund in this account number 2, but somehow this particular account which I'm using, it's got blacklisted, and I have seen this problem in this particular account. When I'm transferring the token and when I'm visiting another application, I'm getting this gray listed notification message in this particular wallet address, because I've done a lot of transaction, and I was testing a bot which was automatically fetching the balance for the MetaMask, which is not legal. That's why every time I try to make the transaction, it's saying that you don't have enough METI. So what I can do, I can simply reject the transaction, and I can switch my account to account number 1. So let's reload the page, come back here, and I can switch my account. You can see I have enough fund. The transaction can be done very easily, but this particular account got gray listed, or you can call it blacklisted, because in one website I saw gray list and the other website I saw blacklist. So sometimes the transaction is happening, sometimes the transaction is failing. So I can switch back my account to account number 1, and I have the less fund, but the transaction will complete successfully. I just wanted to show you, that's why I done the transaction. So let's clear my MetaMask history, reload the page, and let's see there is no data available here. So once we'll create the token, is going to store in the local storage. So let's click on that, upload the image, and here it's uploading. Now we have to give the name. So I'll call the blockchain coder. Let's give the symbol TBC. Okay, remove this one, TBC. Let's give the supply is going to be 2000. Click on this create token, and it's going to open the MetaMask. You can see this time the transaction is taking place. So I have a problem in that particular account. So I'll simply confirm the transaction, and it's going to make the transaction. It's going to take a little bit time because this time we are testing on the actual test network, and the transaction is completed. but in your case it might take a little bit time, so just wait. So once the transaction is completed successfully, you will see that this data is stored, the token we have created is successfully created, and you can able to have the details. So come back to the local storage, you can see this token is stored in our local storage, and we can fetch this information from the local storage and we can display in the front end. So we have all of that created, account, transaction, token address, supply, that's all we have. So let's try to get these details and display in the token history. So for that we can simply come back in our code and we can close this one, and we can go back to the, let's close this one, and we can go back to the token history. In that we're going to receive couple of things. So we have to receive the, let's say, short address, and we have to receive the set open token history. These are the two things we're going to receive as a prop. So simply copy this one. Now come back here, we can go back to the token history, click here, and we have to receive that. So let's receive the prop and let's remove this very quickly, and it's got removed. So we have received the prop successfully. Now let's make it side by side, because most of the code we're going to write on the front end. So let's make it, that's how it's going to look. Click here, and now we can click on this token history. It's open, there it is. Now let's build the functionality. So I can come back here and I can simply come back to the token creator, and from there I'm going to receive couple of things. So first I'm going to take this one, copy and paste here. Now I need the two more things. So let's get the use effect, because we have to get the information from the local storage. Now we can come back to the upload logo, and from there we can get the this notification toaster, copy, and that's what we can paste. And we have to import the one, not the XCS, we have to import the toaster, copy and paste here, and there, that's the only thing we have to do. Now we are ready to get this information from the local storage and create. So we can come back here. So let's create a function for copy the address and the hash. So we'll call, say, const copy address is going to receive the address, and it's going to simply copy navigator.clipboard, write text, and we have to simply say text, and it will have the notification copied successfully. This is our copied function. Now we can come here. Now we have to get the information from the local storage. So we'll take a state variable, and it will say history, which contain all the details about the tokens. By default it will be null, and we have to build this use effect. So first, and we want to call this when the page pop-up component will open, so we have to call it once. So let's make it this empty array. Now we can come here, we have to get the data from the local storage. So we'll say store data, we'll say local storage get item, and we have to give the key pair. So it's a token history. So if we come back to the context, you will see this is the key pair we have given, and this spelling is very important. So the spelling which you have given here, you have to give the exact one. So let's copy this one and paste here. Okay, I made a spelling mistake, now it's correct, token history. So we have all the data from the local storage. Now we have to check if there is a storage data, then we have to simply update in our state variable. So we'll take this set history JSON parse, and we can pass our stored data. So it will be given in a proper format in an array, and we can also do the console log to see that what exactly we are getting. So that's what we have. Now we have this data. So now we can simply come back to the application. Let's make on the big screen, inspect element, and you can see that. Reload the page, click on this create token, working fine, simply close it. Now click on this history, and there it is, we got the array. In that we have all those details. Now all we have to do is to simply feed the data in the component. So close this one, we can simply come back to the component, and let's start working on the JSX. So let's make it side by side to see what exactly we are working on. This is what we have here. So we have to simply take a class, let's call this one model. So we'll have this pop up. Now we can simply remove this one. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called model content. In that we'll take a span, and it's going to have on click function for closing. So we'll take this set open token history to false. We'll display the HTML tag with the class. Class is going to be close, and HTML tag is going to be times. There it is. Now we can come back here, we'll take a h2, it will have the title token history. Then we'll take a div, it will have a class, let's call this table container. Inside that we're going to build the entire table. So we'll take this table it will have a class called custom table. In that we have to take the head and we'll have this tr. Inside that we're going to take the table head. So we'll take this td, it will be a logo, replicate it couple of times, change this to name, then we have the supply, then we'll have the address and the transaction hash. So these are the titles. You can simply scroll to that. It's 100% responsive for all the sizes, screen sizes. Now we have to work on the body. So we can come out of that head tag and we'll take this table body. It will be a rendering. We have to render it because we'll have the data in the array. We'll take the history and we have to give this question marks because sometimes the data is not there. So if it's not there, we have to simply not cause an issue or throw an error. So that's why we take this safeguard. So we'll take this map, it will take the token and the index, we have to make it instant return, and here we have to build the JSX. So we'll take this tr, let's close this one, and it's going to have a key. So let's call this key index plus 1. Then inside that we're going to take this td and it will have an on click function. So when the user will click on this logo, we have to allow them to copy the entire URL of the logo which we have deployed to the IPFS. So let's add this on click and we'll say navigator, clickboard, write text, and in that we can simply allow the image URL. So we'll take this token in which we have the entire details and we can access the logo. We got it. So right now it's not reflecting, but it's there. So now we have to display the image. We have to display the image. So we'll take this token dot logo, and if there is no logo, then we can go with the default one, the blockchain coder. The logo is going to be there. So there it is. Let's add a CSS. We'll add a custom class. We'll use this style tag and we'll add the width. And let's call this to 30 pixels. Then we'll have the height. Let's call this D. Okay, width. There it is. Now we can hide is going to be auto. And we'll have the border radius is going to be 10 pixels. So it will have some roundish. There it is. Looks good. Now we can work on this one. Now let's do that very quickly for the name, supply, image, and address. Let's do that. This will be token and it will be a name replicated. This will be a symbol. Then we have to get the supply. Then we have to get the address. So we'll take this token, address, and we have to wrap this in the short address. So let's call this token, address, and let's wrap this in a short address. Wrap it. So it will display the short address. Now it will have an on click function, so user can click and they can copy the address. So we already built the copy functions. We'll call this copy address and we can pass the address. There it is. Simply copy and paste, and we have to change this to transaction hash. Transaction hash, copy and paste here. So this is the entire data we are reflecting about the token. Looks good, and that's the only thing you have to do. Let's make on the big screen, and it looks wonderful. Logo, name, symbol, supply, address, and hash. You can close it. You can create one more. You can see the history. Looks good. Now let's do one thing. Let's add a copy sign. So let's open a new tab and let's look for an emoji, text emoji, and I can simply click here. This is the emoji I want. So simply copy this one. Come back to the code, and we can simply paste here. Save it. Close this one. Come back here. Now you can see this is the emoji, or you can call it text. Looks fine. And you can click and you can copy the address. Close. You can copy add. So every single thing is look good. So we are done with the token history component. Now we're going to start working on our other components. So like the create ICO. So what we can do is first we have to send the prop. So let's do that. Short address. Then we have to send the set open create ICO. Let's send that. After that we have to set connect wallet, then address. Then we have to say the function create ICO cell. So these are the props we are sending, and now we have to receive this in our component. So come back here, go to the components, and let's find it out, create ICO. So we have it here, click on this, and now we have to receive the prop. So let's do that, and let's remove this one. So we have got all the props. Now we're going to start working on our JSX and the features. So what we have to do is first we have to import couple of things from React, like use state and use effect. We got that. Now we have to come here and do the internal import. So in that we're going to import couple of things, like the input component, it's coming from the same directory. Then we have to import our button component. We got that. And we got this props. Now we can simply come back here and we can start taking the state variable. So let's take that. So we'll call it use state, and we're going to call this ICO cell. It's going to be an object. In that we have to take couple of data, like the address and the price. We'll say address, and this will be price. And now we have to work on the JSX. So let's come back here. Let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So things are looking good. Let's start the application. npm run dev, and here it started. Come back to the browser, and here you will find all the resources about the project. So you can simply check that, open a new tab, and click on this localhost 3000. And here our application is looking absolutely fine. You can simply click and you can connect your wallet. So let's give our password and click on unlock, and here we are connected in the application. You can see this is the token we have created previously. It looks good. And now we can come back here and close this one. Now let's make it side by side so we can work on the JSX. Let's bring on the side and drag it on the left. Now we can simply start working on the JSX. So click on the menu. It looks good. And we are working on our create ICO. That's what we are working on. So first thing, we have to take a class. Let's call this model. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called model content. Inside that, we'll take a span. It will have an on-click function so we can close the component. We'll say set open create ICO false. Inside that, it will have a class of close. Then we can take our HTML close tag. So and times. So why it's not reflecting? Let's come back here. Click on this. Okay. So what we can do is come back to the index page, and this is what we have. Let's give this exclamation. So it's going to make it true. If it's false, this will make it true. So this is our component. So we haven't attached this component in our menu. That's why it was not opening. So now we're going to start working on it. So let's come back here, take h2, and let's define our text called say create ICO. Then we can take a div. It will have a class called input container. It will have a custom style like margin top is going to be 1 RAM. Inside that, we'll take a input, and we have already built our input. All we have to do is to simply send the prop. So the placeholder would be called add address, and it will have a handle change function. In that, we have to simply update the data into our state variable. So we'll take this set ICO cell. We have to deconstruct the data, and then we have to simply update the address. So we'll say e.target.value. So this is the approach we are following. So there is the first component for our input field. Now we can simply copy and replicate this one, and we can change this to price, and this will be price. So we got our component. Now we have to take the button. So let's check the spelling. It looks good. Now we can come back here and take our button component. So we'll take this div. It will have a class called button. We can come back. Actually, we have already designed this. So come back here in the let's say token creator, and there we have the component. So we can come here, and this is the section we need. So simply close this one and copy the section, and that's what we can utilize it here. So simply replace this one and paste here. So we got our button. All we have to do is to simply change the prop and the function. So this is fine. Now we have to make the changes here. So this will be called create ICO, and here we have to change the function to like create ICO cell, and we have to pass the data. So simply remove this one. We'll say ICO cell is gonna object, and that's the only thing we have to do here. So this looks good. Now we can come back here. We are importing the state, then button component and the input component. We're receiving the props, then we are receiving the states, and here we have this. Looks good. Make sure to check the spelling, okay? So if I come back here, if I go to the index, there you will find that we have this particular function called create ICO, and that's receiving the object, and that's what we are making the transaction. So looks fine. Close this one. And now I'm going to make on the big screens to test this out. So let's reload the page. This is what we have, and I'm going to create the very first ICO. So let's do that. So what we can do, come back in the MetaMask, and this is the account I'm using, number 2. So I have to get the token which I want to list for the ICO. So let's close this one, come back here, and we have to simply close this particular component. So we can copy the address and then we can turn it on. So let's open this one, and this is the token we're going to set in our ICO contract for sell. So copy the address and close this one, come back here, bring it back. Now we can paste the address, paste the price. So this is the price I want to set for the token for selling in the ICO contract. And now we're going to click on this create ICO, and here we are getting this error message, create ICO sell. Okay, my bad. So somehow it's a typo, so I can come back here and it's a capital sell. Sorry, my bad. So I can simply come here, I can go back to the index, and this is the small, but we have a capital sell. If we come back to the context, there you will find that this is what I have. So this is what I have. This is create ICO sell. Now I can come back here, change this one. Let's make the changes here as well, and we can change this one as well, and we have to receive in the component, and we have to make the changes there as well. So now we are ready to test this out. So come back here, let's close this one. Now we can simply copy the address of the token, and we can come back here, bring it back. Now open it, simply paste the address, give the price 0001, click on this, and somehow the transaction got failed. And let's do the inspect element to see what exactly went wrong. And here we have, let's paste the address, try to give the price, and click on this create ICO, and the transaction got failed because of the decimal. This is the problem we have. So we can easily fix this one. So we can come back here in the create ICO cell. So we have some issue in this particular function. So we're receiving these two data. Let's console log out the address and the price too, and let's comment all of this so we can check whether we are receiving the data or not. Let's save it. Let's give the address and this dummy text, and the problem with the price. No, I know what is the went wrong. So come back here in the code, and we have to simply bring it back, and we have to copy and paste here so we can access the data from the object. Now let's test this out. Let's give this dummy text and let's give the random price and hit enter. So we are getting this data. There is no problem in that. Now we can come back here. Let's bring this 2 back. Let's bring this one and this one, and let's test this amount. So the problem we are having in the pay amount. So bring it back here, copy and paste here, and let's do the transaction. So let's give the text, price, and create. And yes, we have a problem in our utils function. So, and I found the problem. So it's ether, not s. So you have to remove this s, and now it will work fine because we are using the parse unit method. So this is the one which you have to change, and it will work fine. And work fine. So this is the second time I'm recording the video. Somehow the recording got stopped and I didn't know that, and I have written all the function. So that's why I'm writing once again to record everything. I'll take you through the functionality once again, one by one. So make sure to make these changes. This one, and now you can able to create. So simply close this one. Now it will work fine. So take the address, bring it back, paste the address and the price, and we have to click on this create ICO. So this time our component is working fine. Here we have the MetaMask, simply confirm the transaction, and here our transaction got failed. So this is the weird problem we are having in the MetaMask due to the test network, and it's saying that the RPC URL is not a valid RPC URL. So there is a problem with the RPC URL and the transaction got failed. But there is no problem in the code. It's happening due to the RPC URL. So you can come back to the MetaMask and clear your MetaMask history, and just let's give one more try. Reload the page, and let's paste the address, give the price, and click on this create ICO. Again, it's open. Now you have to simply confirm the transaction, and here it's got failed again. If you open the MetaMask, the transaction got failed again, and this indicates that we have a problem with the RPC URL which we are using in our MetaMask for making the transaction with the blockchain. So at the moment, if I come back here in the Polygon network, you can see, come back to the add network, there you will find all the details about the network you have configured. Come back to the network and you can see this is the Polygon MY network, and this is the RPC URL we are using. This is the one. I don't know what problem we are having with this, so I'm going to use different provider instead of this one, and we're going to use this provider. Simply type Polygon MY test network and you will come back here. Make sure to click on the very first link, and this is the configuration we have to do, but somehow this RPC URL is not working. So if I copy and try to paste in our MetaMask, it's the same URL, but it's not working. It's not working. So I'm going to use a different provider. At the moment, we have multiple provider which we can use. If you talk about Avalanche, Infura, Enkmain, so there's multiple provider we have, but I'm going to use this one. So close this, come back here, open a new tab and type ankr.com. So this is the provider I'm going to use. Here you will find all the RPC endpoint for different blockchain, including the test network and main network. So click on this, and from here we have to get the test network. So click on the test network and simply copy this one. Once you have that, now you can come back to the MetaMask and change the URL, and we have to simply save it. So there is no problem in the code. The problem we are having with the RPC URL. Once you're done with that, now we can come back here in the constant and we have to make the changes here as well. So you should always test this RPC URL because different providers had different endpoints, and very frequently they make those updates. So when you are providing these connections in the application, you have to simply update with the actual endpoint. So this time I'm using this ankr.com for RPC URL. So everything is done. Now I'm going to simply close all of this, and now let's make the transaction. So we have to get the address of the token. So what I will do, I'm going to use the account number 1 for making the transaction. But before we do that, let's clear the MetaMask history and read the page. And now I have to paste the address, so I have to copy it. So I'm going to simply come back here and remove this one, and let's open the history, copy, and we can paste your address here in the tab. So we can simply copy from there. Close this one, come back here and bring it back, and now we can simply paste the address, give the price, and click on this create ICO. You can see this time the transaction is happening, and I'm getting this warning message that I don't have enough MATI to make the transaction, but I do have enough MATI. And this problem I'm facing for the last 2 days because I was running an internal bot, and my account, the account number 1 and account number 2 in a gray list. So when I'm trying to make the transaction, I'm getting this warning and it's preventing me to make the transaction. So this is the weird problem I'm having because my account got in the list of hacker or a gray list, because I visit couple of websites there I found this gray listed account. So it's saying that I don't have enough fund. So I will reject the transaction and I'm going to switch my account to account number 2. I guess this will have enough fund. Yes, it has enough fund. Let me clear my MetaMask. But in your case, the transaction will complete smoothly. So let's paste the address and I'm going to give the price, and let's call this create ICO. And you can see this time the transaction is happening. I have to simply confirm the transaction, and here the transaction is happening. If you open the MetaMask, now the transaction is happening. So the transaction got successfully completed. So there is no problem we have in the code. Sometimes MetaMask failed to create and interact with the contract because it's a test network, and this Polygon test network is not that good. Transaction is happening very slow on this network, and that's why the transaction failing most of the time. So we got it. Now if you reload the page, simply come back here and you can simply remove this. So we have successfully created our first ICO in our contract. So make sure you have to update your RPC endpoint always. Now we can come back here and we have to simply update the duration time. So like we have passed the message and the duration is going to be something like 2 seconds. So we have to change this to 2, and this one is also going to be 2. This is the one update you have to do in the context management in the index page. So once you're done with that, this looks fine. So make sure to check the spellings whatever we have provided. So it's going to have the actual method and the duration, both are going to be the same. So this looks good. Create ICO cell, no problem in that, and we're going to call this to function. This is going to give us the data about the smart contract, about the individual user, and all the ICO which other user will create in the marketplace. So these are the 2 functions we have to call. Now we're going to simply come here in the create ICO, and we have to simply close the component, and we can come back to the page, and here we have to simply call the to function. So we can come back here, let's call this. So this is the state variable we have taken, one for users and the other one is for all the ICOs. We can come back here, we can take this use effect, and we have to make a check. If the address exists, then we want to only call this function. So we'll say let's say if address is there, then we want to call the function. So this is the function we have to call, all user ICO token and get all ICO cell token. These are the two functions we have to call. So let's come back here, let's call this get all ICO cell token, which give all the ICO which created in our smart contract. So we have to, it's going to return a promise, so we have to resolve that, and then we have to simply store this data into our state variable. So first we're going to console logout, we'll call it token, and then we're going to simply store in our state variable. So this is our all ICO. Now we have to get the individual user, so simply copy this, and we have to simply change the function name, get user ICO cell token, and we have to change the state name. So this will be set all user ICO. So we have the data. Now it's going to call the function and it's going to give the data from the smart contract. So looks good, and this is what we have. Let's give the name, we'll call this user, because this one is the individual user. We can simply copy and we can call it all. This time the data would be the same because we have only created one ICO with the same account, so it will going to reflect 1 in both the console log. So if I reload the page, you can see we're having this infinite load. So I'm going to simply do one thing, we have to call it 1, so we have to give this empty array. So this function will call whenever there is a page reload, and I'm going to simply call the function whenever there is a change in the address. So simply copy, and I'm also going to call when there is a change in the recall function, recall number increment. So paste here. So whenever there is a change in these two state, I'm going to call the function. So in that way we don't need to reload the page. Save it. Now you can come back here. Here we got the data, we got the user. If you open that one, here we have the data about the user. If you come back here, here we have the data about the all. And all we have to do is to simply feed the data into the component in our ICO marketplace and in the created ICO. In these two components we have to feed the data. So let's do that very quickly. We already built the component here, so we can come back here. This is the component ICO market, and then we have to simply feed it, and this particular component is going to be the reusable component. So first we have to, let's send the prop, close this one, close this one, close this one, and here we have the component. So let's send that. So we already have the data, and I can simply come here, let's call this array. In that we have to send the data. So first we're going to send the data about all user ICO short address. Then we have to send this handle click, and then we have to pass the set open all ICO, and we'll say the currency. So these are the props we are sending. We're going to simply copy that one, and that's what we're going to simply receive in our components. Come here, go to the component, and we have the component right up here. Where it is? Here, ICO market. So let's receive the prop and remove this one, remove this one, remove this one, and remove this one. So we have received the prop. Now we have to simply build the JSX. So first thing we have to do is we have to import the toaster. So when the user will click, we have to display the copy message. So we'll take this React hot toaster. Now we can come back here, and here we can get this one. So we get this notification, copy and paste here. Once we got that, now we have to simply build the copy function. So we already have the function in the index page. Come here, and this is the function we need to get, copy, and that's what we have to call it here. All we have to do is to receive a text, means the address. So let's receive that text, and that's what we have to receive and paste here, copy and paste here. So this is our function, and that's the only thing we have to do. Now we have to work on the JSX because we already have the data. So we can come here, we can come back here in the create token creator, not in the token creator, we can come back here, we can, where it is, here we have this token history. That's what we need. Now we can come back here, this is the entire token history. simply copy the entire JSX. Copy this one, and that's what we can simply paste here. And we have to do the changes in the data. So paste here. So we got all of this. So there are a few changes we have to do. So the first changes we have to do in this particular one. So I'm going to take this handle click, and that's what I'm going to simply pass here. Now we can come back here in this is the one we have ICO market. So now we have to change the name. All ICO you have created. We have the table component. No, we have to change this. So we're not going to have logo. Simply remove this one. Name, symbol, supply. We'll have this one is token. This will be creator. And here we're going to have the price. That's what we have here. So we're going to take the array, and that's what we're going to simply call it here. And we're not going to have the image because there is no data for the image. So we're going to simply remove this section, this TD. We're going to have the name, symbol, and supply. So the name we have called is not supply. So what we can do is we have the supply here. We can name, symbol, supply. We can come back to our context, and if we go back to the function like get all user or ICO function, cell function, here we have the entire object which we are returning. So from there we can access like this one, like ICO cell balance, which contain the information that how many tokens is available for sell in the contract for this specific token. So we're going to simply copy this one, and that's what we can pass here. Then we have to pass the token address. So we can come here, we can copy the token, and that's what we can paste here. Now we have to get the creator. So we got the token address. Now we have the transaction hash, but that's what we have to remove with the token creator. So we can come here, we can simply copy the creator and paste here. Simply select this one, and we're going to have one more, copy this one and paste here. In that we're going to display the price. So we can come here and we have the price here. So copy this one and paste here. So we got all of that, and here we're going to display the currency. Looks good. Okay, looks good. Now we can come back here. If you click on this ICO Marketplace, it's going to open this one, and we can simply close it. Okay, we are getting this error message because we are using the same component for two different section, one for ICO Marketplace and the other one is for created ICO. So we have to send the prop in the other one. So you can see this one is the created one, working absolutely fine. You have to pass the same data to the other component. So you can click and you can copy. Here we have to pass it. So we can come back here. You can simply, you don't need to do anything in here. Everything looks good. This component will be exactly like this. We can come back to the index page, and we have to simply grab this one, copy this one, and that's what we have to pass here as well. So this one is for the marketplace. Paste here. All we have to do is to simply change the data. So we have to change the array. So this is for the all user we have already taken above. This is the all user. Then we have the marketplace. This one is the marketplace. Copy that one, and that's what we can paste here. And I have to send this open one as well. So this one is we have sent in the all user. This looks fine. And here we have to make the change. It would be, this one is ICO Marketplace. So we have to get this one. Copy. This one is, yeah, copy this one, and that's what we have to paste here, and this will work fine. So these are the changes you have to do. If you come back here, click here, you can see we got this one which we have created, and we have no issue. Close this one, and you can see this one. This is the same account I have used for creating. So that's why you can see it's reflecting the same data in both the component. But when there is a more ICO in the marketplace, it's going to reflect all that. But in the created ICO, you can able to find all the one which you have created. So this two components is ready. This is also ready. We can come back here. This section is done. Close this one. This section is done. And close this one. Let's check one more time. Things are look good. We have the history is also done. We can see the create token is also done. And now we can come back here And now we have to work on the buy token, transfer token and withdraw token. So before we start working on these components, we have to work on the middle section. So we have done with the header and we're going to work on the body section. So let's take a div. It will have a class called create. Inside that we'll take a h1 and it will have a style. We're going to say font size is going to be 2 RAM and it will say all ICO Marketplace. If you come back to the application, you can see it looks good, all ICO Marketplace. Now we can come back here. We'll take a dynamic block. We'll say all ICO.length exist. If it's not equal to 0, then only we have to render this component. So let's take this one. We'll take this marketplace and in that we have to simply send the props. So we'll send the all ICO, then we'll send the short address, then we can send the set by icon, then we'll set the set open by token. So these are the props we are sending, because we're going to have a button in our marketplace component in which user will click and we're going to open the buy component. So that's why we are sending this prop. So now we have to simply set the currency as well. So these are the things we have to send. So we are getting this undefined error, and this happening because our data takes a little bit time, but our components try to render and there is no data available. That's why we get this error message. So to prevent this, all you have to do is to simply add a question mark. So you can come back here and add a question mark here and this will fix the issue. You can see right now we are not having an issue. Now we can come back here, simply copy this, and that's what we can receive in our marketplace component. So come here, let's receive that, remove it, all of that. So we got our prop and we're going to have the similar structure. So we can come back here and we can go back to the token creator, and from there we can get these all, but we need only one. So we can come here and we can paste here and we can remove this too. We need the button because we have to display our buy token button. Now we can come back to the token history, and from there we can get the hot toaster, paste here, and we get this messages notification and copy all of that we needed and paste here. Once we're done with that, now we have to work on the JSX. So for the JSX we need the table section. So we can do one thing. We don't need to code it because we have already done it. So come back to the ICO Marketplace and here we have this one. So we need this section, the table container section. So simply copy this section, this one, and that's what we have to simply paste here, because the data is going to be the same. Once we're done with that, and here we have to take another one. So here we have to display our button. So we can simply remove this and we'll display our buy button. Let's send the prop name buy, and it will have an on click function. So the user can click and they can set the particular ICO data into our buy component. So we'll take this one, set buy component. So first we'll set the data in our state variable, and then we're going to open our buy component. So we'll say set buy, open buy component to true, and that's the only thing you have to do. And here you can see the buy button is reflecting there. Now we have to give the header. So I can simply come back to the code and I can go to the and replicate this. This will be buy and it will work fine. So it looks good. We have the name, symbol, supply, token, creator, price and buy. So user can click and they can open the buy button. You can reload the page. It's going to pull out the data and it's going to reflect, and you can simply click to copy that. So all the marketplace data that's going to reflect here. So it's working absolutely fine. Now we have to work on the other component. So we are done with that. Simply close this one and we have to work on the cart component. So come back here. Let's build the cart component. So we can come here, we'll take a cart. Inside that we have to send the prop. So we'll take this set open all ICO to set open all ICO. Then we have to send set open token creator. Then we have to send set open transfer token, and I write the code in this block. So I have to simply cut this one and I have to take it out of this block and paste here. Then I have to set open token history. Then we have to take this. Then we have to say set open withdraw token. Then we have set open ICO Marketplace address function. Then we'll have the set open create ICO. So these are the props we are sending in our cart component. Got it? Simply copy this one, and that's what we have to receive in our cart component. So let's receive that, and let's remove this. Wonderful. Everything's looking good. Now we can come back here in our index page, and let's have a quick overview of all the component and all the functionality, because as I told you that somehow the recording got stopped and I wrote a couple of functions and I'm rewriting it. So let's have a quick overview that there is no problem, so you guys can also compare your code. So first you can come back to the index, and you can see this is what exactly we have. Simply copy this one, and I'm going to simply paste one more time so we can see they are calling the exact function. This is the states we have. These are exactly the same thing. I haven't done any changes, and all of these functions looks good. And this is the cart component. So far things are looking good. Now we can come back here in the cart component and we can start working on the cart section. So come back here, and this is the feature is already given. So it's a array of object where we are displaying all the cart, all the data I have already given you. So you can simply use this array and we can render it. So we don't need to waste time writing the same thing. Okay. So we have this array of object and we're going to render this. So come here, let's start working on the JSX. So let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. Bring it side. You can see rice. This one we have, you can click and you can open the buy component, which we're going to work on it. Come back here. Let's remove this. Take the fragment. Inside that we have to take a div. It will have a div. It will have a class called wrapper. Inside that we'll take our dynamic block and we have to render our array. So we'll take the feature, map, feature, index. It's gonna instant return. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class, have a key, index, and it will have a class called card. We have 8 arrays, and that's why you can see there are 8 boxes. Inside that we're going to take this p, and it will have a class called card content, and it's going to display the description. So we'll have some margin. So we'll say style margin top is going to be 1 RAM, and inside that we're going to display the description. So we can access the data feature dot description, and there it is. Now we have to build the button. So it will have a classes. So we'll take this call card button. It will have a style, we'll have some margin from the top, 1 RAM, and it's going to have a button text to button name. So we got the button name. Now we have to attach a on click function because we have multiple component and we have to open different component on the click event. So when the user will click on the copy address, so we have to copy the address. When the user will click on the create token button, so it's going to open the create token component. So we're going to build that on click function. So let's come here, on click, and here we have to say feature title is equal to your created ICO. So if you come back here, this is the array of object. In every array we have a title. So this is the title we have. Like I have called this ICO address. So we have to match this title and then we have to open the component. So if you come back here, here we have this title, your created ICO, and that's what we are comparing. Hope you guys have understood the logic. So we have to write a lot of if else statements. So let's write it down. Then we have to set this to set open all ICO to true. Then we can say feature title equal to ICO marketplace. Then we have to open this, set open ICO marketplace to true. Else we'll say if title equal to create token, then we have to open the set open token creator to true. Else feature title equal to history, then we have to open the set open token history to true. else feature title equal to, let's say, transfer token. Then we have to open this set open transfer token true, else feature dot title equal to withdraw token. Then we have to open the withdraw component true, else feature dot title equal to ICO address. Then we have to simply call the copy address function, else feature title equal to, we'll take this create ICO. Then we have to call this set open all create ICO to true, else we're going to go with empty string. And you can see this is the huge if else statement we have written. That's all we have. We are simply making the comparison from the array and opening the relevant component. So if I click on this copy address, you can see it will copy the address. If we click on this create ICO, it's going to open the create ICO. If we click on this get created ICO, it's going to open the get created ICO. If you click on this get listed ICO, it's going to create this listed ICO. Here we have the create token. Click on it and it's going to open the create token component. And we have this get token history. So here you will find the token history, all the token we will create, that's going to open. And here we have the transfer component which we have to build, and here we have the withdraw component which we have to build. So these are the two component and the buy component we have to build. So its logic is working absolutely fine. And that's the only thing we have to do here in the cart component. So let's close this one and let's make on the big screen, and let's do one thing. Let's quickly write down all the features for these three components. Okay, these are the three components are left, and these components are it's going to be in the similar. So let's do that very quickly. So first we have to send the prop address buy token, connect wallet, set open buy token, buy icon, buy ICO, and currency. Simply copy that one, and that's what we have to simply paste in the transfer as well. So let's paste here, and we have to modify the data. So we have to change the function to be transfer token, copy and paste here. And we don't need this, we don't need the currency, but we have to change the state. So it will be set open transfer token, copy and paste here. Now simply copy, and that's what we have to receive here. Let's make the change in the function. This one is for withdraw, and we have to change the state as for the withdraw as well. Open withdraw token and copy. So we have sent the props. Now let's start with the very first one called token transfer. So simply copy this one, come back here, go back to the token transfer, and we have to receive the props. Let's simply remove it very quickly and remove this one. So we got this one. Now we can start working on the J6. So we can come back here, we can go back to the created ICO, and we're going to simply take all of this, simply copy this one, and that's what we have to receive. Then we can come back here and we have to take a state variable. This will call transfer token data, and that's what we are receiving in the function. It's going to be an object. So first it's going to take the address where we want to transfer, then it is going to take the token address, and it's going to take the amount. So we got this. Now we can come back here in created ICO, and we're going to simply copy this JSX, and that's what we have to use it. It's going to be the same. All you have to do is to change this, copy this one, and that's what we have to change in all the places. Then we have to copy this, and that's what we have to change in ICO cell. And we have to add one more. So we have to change this to address where we want to transfer the token. This is the address, fine. Then we have to get this add token add, and here we have to send this token address. That's fine. Now we have to replicate this one, and this is going to hold the amount. So say amount, and we have this amount copy, and that's what we can paste here. So these are the input components, and here we have the button. So we have to change the function. So simply copy this and paste here, then change this to transfer token transfer, and here we have to change the function. So this will be called token transfer, and remove this to what we have, let's say transfer token and paste here, and we have to send the data. So copy this one and paste here, and that's our transfer token component is ready. Looks good. So far things are looking great, and that's the only thing we have to do here. So simply copy this one, and the same thing we have to do with the other components. So simply copy this, and then we can come back to the buy token, because we're going to have the similar structure of the buy. We can come back to the token transfer, and we're going to simply get this JSX as well, and we're going to replace here. Now we have to do the changes, so we can come back in the props in the index page, and from here we have to get the props, and that's what we have to receive here. Let's remove this one, remove this one. I'm going a little faster because this is the same repetitive thing. Okay, I hope you guys understand the structure we are following. Remove this one, remove this one, remove this one, remove this one. We got the props. Now we have to simply change this component function, and here we have to change the title. It's gonna be a buy token. And what else we can do? We can take a quantity which user wants to purchase. So we'll take this use state. It will be token quantity. It's going to be an empty, and now we can come back here, and we have this extra input, so we can simply remove this one. We're going to have two input field. So in this we're going to display the output. So let's remove this one and remove this. We'll say output. Let's come back to the first input. So here we have to make the change. So let's remove this. Simply select and remove here, remove this one, and we have to change this one. Simply copy this function quantity, and that's what we have to call. So in that way we can get the amount which user wants to purchase, and here we have to simply call it quantity, and we have to display the money which user going to pay for buying the token. So we can build a dynamic block here in the placeholder. So we'll take this. So we can say we can take the token quantity. We'll say that if token quantity exists, then we can display this dynamic data. So we'll take this template literal, and we'll say token quantity multiplied by the price. We'll convert that price into a number by ICO, which contain the information about the token which user wants to purchase and the price. So from there we have to access the token price, and we have to simply multiply with the quantity. So we'll get the exact amount, and I can also display the currency. So let's come here. We'll take our dynamic block, and we can say currency. Otherwise we have to go with the default text, which is the output. And that looks fine. That's the only thing we have to do in the input field. Now we can simply copy the function, and that's what we have to pass here. And in the buy function we have to pass two data. We have to pass the token address, and we have to pass the quantity. So we can simply come here, we can take this quantity, that's what we can send, and we can also send the token address. So we'll have the data by ICO dot token, and in that way our function will receive and is going to simply buy the token. So that's the only thing we have to do here. Everything is good, no need to make any changes. That looks wonderful. So we are done with that. Now we're going to simply work on our next component, which is the withdraw. It's going to have the similar structure. So we're going to simply take this props. Let's receive the props very quickly and remove all of this. Okay, let's provide this comma. So we got that. Now we have to receive this, copy and paste here, and we can come back here. Here we're going to take a state variable, and in this we're going to take two things. We're going to take the address and the number, the quantity of token we want to withdraw. It will say withdraw quantity. It's going to be an object. Inside that we'll take the address of the token, and we're going to take the amount. Looks good. Now we have to get the JSX. So we can come back to the token transfer, and we have to get it from there and paste here. Now we can simply come here. We can take this set open withdraw token, and we have to change here. Then we have to change the title to withdraw token. Looks good. Now we can simply come here, and let's simply copy paste here. Then we have to simply take this withdraw quantity, and that's what we have to replace here. Replace in all the places. So this one is the input extra one, which we want to remove it. We need to have only two, and here we need to copy and replace here. This will be called token address token. Now the second one is going to be the amount, and here we'll say amount, and this will be, let's call it quantity. And that's the input field we have. Now we have to simply take the function and paste here, and in that we have to send the data. So we have to send the entire object, which we already have here. Simply copy this one, and that's what we have to send in the function. And that's the only thing we have to do. So with that, we are done with this entire component. Props, state variable, and this is the same JSX we have used. Looks good. Now close this one, come back here, and this is fine. So before we start testing, let's have a quick overview that what exactly we have coded so far and what are the things we have built. So let's go through one more time with all the functionality which we have built. So first we're going to come back here in our, come back in the constants, and let's quickly compare and understand what we have done. So here we are on the constant file, and I'm going to give you a quick recap with all the feature we have included. You guys should always compare your spelling which you have given. Okay, so make sure to pause it and compare with your code. So we are importing this, we are importing the ABI. This is the name I have called it. This is the addresses and the ABI. This is the pinata. Here we have the network. Make sure to do the exact configuration and always check your RPC endpoint. This one is for Polygon MOI. This is one for Polygon mainnet, and this is for the Binance, and this is for the base mainnet. So no matter which network you deploy your contract, all you have to do is to simply do the configuration here, and you have to pass into the function. So here we have the function called change network, which is going to look for a specific network. So we have deployed our contract to Polygon test network. So our contract and our application can only be used in the Polygon test network. So someone try to connect with a different network, it's not going to work. It will automatically switch the network in the MetaMask. So this is the function we have. Make sure to check the spellings. Okay. Here we have the function called handle network switch. So all we have to do is to simply pass the network name. So I have deployed to Polygon, so that's what I have passed. If you have passed to Ethereum, mainnet, then the name you have to give. And this is fine. This is the short address. This is the fetch contract. Here we have the ICO Marketplace contract. So it looks good. You should check your spellings. Okay, again I'm telling you. Here we have the token contract, and you have to see there is no changes we have done here. It looks good. Now we can come back to the .env file. So this is the contract and the API key and secret key. Obviously after the tutorial I'm going to delete this API key, so it will not work, so you have to use your own. So this is the exact name we have given, and that's what we are calling in our constant file. Now let me take you through all the functionality. So this is the import we have done. Here we have imported from the functions and the variables from the index, from the constants, and we have all of this address, token, that's all we have here. This is the state. Then we have the component. Here we have the notification. This is the check wallet function. So we are simply checking for a window object, then we are checking for the network, and then we are marking call. So it's exactly the same. Then we have this use. Remove this one, because when the user is not connected, it's unnecessary to display the warning message. Okay, that's why I have removed it, and this is fine. Let's it be like that. This is okay. This is our connect volley function. Looks fine, and here we have it. Now we have to check this deploy to contract. Okay, this good. Ether, make sure to say ether, not ethers. Then we have it, and this section you have to be careful because I made a spelling mistake, and that's what I have fixed. So we are getting the data, then we are setting the data into the object. So make sure to check the spelling, and here you have to check, because when you will save the token in your local storage, this is how it should be. So first you have to get it, then you have to check, and then you have to simply get one more time, and you have to push into the array and set and recall, and this is the else statement. So make sure to check your spelling, and this is the catch block. So looks fine. Close this one, create ERC to encrypt. So we are getting this data, then we are deconstructing, and this is the normal regular one. Looks good. So there is no problem in it. It's absolutely fine. And we have already checked this function. It's also good. This is good. We are getting the token and all of that. And here we have it. Then we have this. There is no changes need to be done here. Everything's look good. Make sure you guys compare your code. Here we have deconstruct, getting the data, comparing, initializing the state and amount, and making the transaction. Close this one. Then we have the buy function. We are getting this data, initializing the state, checking that all, and looks good. Checking the price and amount and making the transaction and initializing the states. Then we have the transfer, getting the data, checking the data, and initializing the state and calling the smart contract, getting the balance, and that's what we are passing into the transaction and updating the state. Looks good. Now we have the last function for the withdraw. It's a very simple one, and we got all of that. So I hope this quick recap will help you. So you can check all of this function we have exported from here. You can simply copy, and that's what we can simply import. So make sure to compare your spellings, and this is what we have. Looks good. Now we can come back here, close this one. Now we can come back to the pages, and here we have done the configuration for the app.js. It looks good. This is our entire setup for the component. Here we are receiving all of the data, so we can come back here, and that's what we are receiving, copy, and here we are receiving exactly the same thing. Got it? Here we have the notification, states, component, copy, and calling the functions, and this looks good. You guys have already seen this. That looks good. There is no problem. We have every single thing is looking good. We have all of this data, looks fine. Now we can come back to the components. There's a button, looks good, buy, fine, and these are the same one, so everything is good. You don't need to make anything here. This is card, all of that we have here. So now we can start testing. Everything's look good to me. Everything's working absolutely fine. Now we can come back to the application. Let's come back here. So let's click on this. It's going to open this component. Looks good. You can click and you can copy. You can click on this created ICO. This is also working fine. If you come back, click here in the history, it's also working fine. Copy the address. You can click on this create. It's also working fine. And if I open my MetaMask, you can see right now I'm connected with the account number 1. So account switch is also working fine. We're updating the entire state. Now if I click on the buy, it's going to open the buy component. You can give the amount and it's going to give you the output, that how much money you have to pay, and you have to click on the token transfer. Here we have the different cards. So if I click on this copy address, it's going to copy. If I click on this create ICO, it's going to open this create ICO. Then we have this created all ICO, then the listed ICO, then we have this create token working fine, then we have this get history token, then we have the transfer token component, looks good. You can paste the amount, address, and that's all. And here we have this withdraw. This is also good. So every single component is working fine. Now we can start working and testing the functionality. So come back here in the create token, click here, and let's upload an image. Here it's uploading, and let me give the name. I'll say the blockchain coder. Let's give the symbol and the supply 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and click here is going to open the MetaMask. And here again I'm getting this warning that I don't have enough fund to make the transaction. This is the weird problem I'm facing. Simply close this one. I'm going to switch my account to account number 1. Let's clear my MetaMask history, reload the page, and let's click one more time, select upload, and you can see it's uploaded. Now let me give the name, let's give the symbol, supply, and click on this create token, and it's going to open the MetaMask. And again I'm getting the same warning in my address. I don't have enough fund for making the transaction because this particular network is quite little slow, so it's taking a little bit time, and the transaction cost is also very high. So I'm going to simply reject the transaction, and let's test the other feature. So we can click on the buy, and here we have to buy the token. So right now I have 99, so I can simply buy one called transfer token, and here I'm getting the same warning. So what I can do is reload the page. I can switch my network to account number 2 because I have enough fund in that. So let's clear my, and let's click on buy one, make the transfer, and this time the transaction is happening because the transaction cost is pretty less. So I have to simply confirm the transaction. There is no problem in the code. It's happening because the MetaMask failed to pick the exact transaction cost, and my this true address is in the gray list, so maybe that is the reason it's causing this problem. So we have successfully bought one token. So the buying feature is working absolutely fine. Got it? Now you can come back to the create and let's try to create a token. Upload it successfully. Let's give the name, the blockchain coder. Let's give the symbol TBC. Let's give the supply and create token. And this time the transaction went through. You can see confirm the transaction. So sometimes MetaMask failed to calculate the proper transaction cost because it's a test network. Okay. And here we have successfully created our token successfully. Click on this history. You will see the token we have created is reflecting there. Fine. You can copy that. And you can come here and you can list in the ICO contract. So paste the address of the token and set the price. And click on this create ICO. It's going to open the MetaMask and we have to confirm the transaction. So this token will be listed in our ICO contract. So just wait. And the transaction is completed. Here we have our token. Right now there is a 0 token available in the ICO contract. Now we can simply copy the address of the token. And let's try to buy one more time. So let me buy one more time, and here I'm making the transaction and the transaction went to. So we have successfully bought the token one more time. So this buying feature is working absolutely fine. Now I can do one thing, I can test the other features. So we have this transfer token. So let's use this one. So first thing, we're going to simply transfer the token to our ICO contract. So simply copy this address and paste here. Now we have to copy the address of the ICO contract. Click here in the token transfer, paste the ICO contract address, paste the token which you want to transfer and the quantity. So I'm going to pass 10 token because I don't have much gas, so I'm going with a little amount. So simply confirm the transaction and the transaction will complete and the token will be transferred to the ICO contract. So just wait and the transaction is completed and you will see the token is available here in the ICO contract. Now if I want to withdraw the token, I can do that. I can give the quantity. So I can say it's a token transfer. If I click, it's a token transfer. Okay, this one is token transfer. Okay, I have to change the spelling of the button. So come back here, go back to the withdraw component and I have to change the text of the button. So this will be fine, copy, and that's what we have to paste here. So it will say withdraw token. Got it? Now you can click here, copy the token address, paste here and quantity. So I want to withdraw 5 token and here we have successfully confirmed the transaction. And it's going to withdraw the token from our ICO contract and the transaction is completed. Good. You can see we have withdrawn successfully 5 token. So every single thing is working fine. Simply copy the address and you can simply transfer and you can see every single thing is working fine. So that's how we have successfully completed our entire project. And I hope you guys have learned that what exactly we have built and how you can build a complex contract like this to make the transaction. So every single thing, events, buying, every single thing is working fine. You can paste the amount and it's going to open and you can simply purchase the token. So every single thing is working fine. If it's create any confusion, make sure to rewatch the video and try to understand that what exactly we have developed. So understanding is very important. You can improve the component, add more feature, but if you don't understand, then it's going to create a lot of problems. So we have this ICO marketplace. If I click on this created ICO, so okay, I have to switch the name of both the component. So I have done this same component. So let's come back here. This is ICO marketplace, we have one, and this is the created ICO, we have two, but it's going to be swap. Okay, so let's come back to the header section and we have to change the name. So this will be copy, this will be our ICO created and this will be the marketplace. Simple. Close this one, open, this is your, and this is the marketplace. Every single thing is working fine. It's 100% responsive for screen sizes. You can see drop down, we can simply slide through that. You can click and you can buy the token. You can looks good on the mobile device as well. We have this different component. You can click and you can open that one, close this one. So we are done with that. You can simply log out, reload the page. No account, simply click on this connect wallet. It's going to open the MetaMask, give the password and connect, and here we got the details, and now we can simply buy the token and list the token. So every single thing is working fine. I hope you guys have understood, and all you have to do is to make the changes here in the env file. So simply deploy your contract and provide the address of the contract here. Then you have to use your own Pinata API key and secret key. So this is the only place where you have to do the changes. Once you do the changes here, you have to make sure to give the updated ABI of your contract. So no matter which network you deploy your contract, you have to get your updated ABI from the remix ID, and that's what you can paste here. And you have to change the network. So if you are deploying to the Polygon mainnet, Binance, or Ethereum, make sure to, that's what we have to update. So in our case, we have deployed to Polygon test network, and that's what we have updated here in the network switch. If you are deploying to Binance or base network, you have to simply change the name here, and your contract, your application is ready to interact on that specific blockchain. So this is the only thing you have to do. Every single thing is looking fine. You can come back to the blockchain coder. Here you will find all the resources which I have provided for this project and other project we have built. Come back to the source code section. Here you will find all the materials. So simply scroll through that and build at least 5 projects. When you will build 5 projects, then you will have a proper understanding about the different smart contract and different projects. So we have multiple projects. Make sure to build that. So click on this resend and you will come here. So this is the project we have developed. Click on this get now, and here we have the final code and there is starter file. So simply click on the starter file. It will take you to the GitHub, and here you can check all the things which is provided. So you have all of things which you can get course, and I hope you guys have watched this. In that you will master complete blockchain development. You will learn about Solidity smart contract development. You will master the complete Solidity programming language. You will learn about the global setup of environment variable in the blockchain Dapp development. You're going to write complex smart contract for NFT marketplace. You're going to have a crash courses on different technology. So it's 100+ videos we have, plus our content in the project. So with that, I'm ending this. So I hope you guys have understood that what exactly we have developed. If you have any question, you can definitely let me know in the comment section. I'll definitely try to help you in that. I want to congratulate you that you have successfully completed this huge project. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.